How's it going, chat? How y'all doing this Friday evening? Thanks for stopping by. Argus? I'm just rolling. I was rolling the chair off of my. I have a mat on top of my hardwood surface, so I was rolling back and it just rolling off the office scratch resist office mat thing to avoid scratches on the floor. That's all. Nothing. Nothing blowing up just yet. So before stream, I spent a little time working on getting Twitch soundtrack to work. So I'll be able to listen to some Twitch soundtrack on the live stream. It won't it won't show up on the VOD. So if you're watching this on YouTube or in the Twitch VODs, you won't hear any music. I got that all set up, and you can see the info on the stream, I believe. Not on the video, but like below. Is it one of those squishy mats? I've been thinking about getting a rug or something for the floor. No, this one's a hard one I got from Costco. So it's a firm plastic one specifically for hardwood floors, so your office chair doesn't scratch it or do anything weird to the wood flooring. Yep. Yeah. Happy Friday, everyone. Hopefully you've had a great week. I had a pretty good week. I've been focusing a little bit more on health, eating a little bit better. I've been actually using I switched over to Freshly for food. So before the wife and I would do Blue Apron, but we would get kind of lazy about cooking the foods, and it's only 3 times a week for the food, and it can be a little expensive. How's it going, Frackberg? So I switched over to Freshly, which is already pre-made food, kind of like the TV dinners and stuff like that. And that's been working out well for the past week and a half, 2 weeks. And because I've switched over and adjusted my diet a little bit and trying to avoid or trying to do more portion control, I've already lost 5 pounds. So from trying to adjust things. So feeling good. Hopefully you're doing well, Frackberg. I've seen ads for Fractor, but I'm going more Freshly right now. Well, the wife seems to like Freshly too, so it's gonna also save money just going out because the meals, depending on the number of meals you buy ahead of time, it can be between $10 to $12. If you buy 12 meals for 1 week, it averages out to roughly $10 a meal after taxes and all that type of stuff. So which is better than going out and trying to get some food. Not only does it save time, but it's saving money. Obviously not as much as cooking, but it's better portion control and better balanced diet. I was looking at Green Chef. They had something similar, but it was really expensive. So I was like, nah, this is fine. It was like $200 for a week worth of groceries. You would have basically, if you don't want to spend too much for a week's worth of groceries, don't buy meat. Hey, Stream Closed Caption is there to remind me. I intentionally didn't turn on my captions so I could get the reminder. But I like meat. I know. I like meat too. I'm turning on Stream Closed Captioner, but I have the test version installed, so you might not see it, unfortunately, in so long. Yeah, meat is really expensive now. By the way, I really am loving this drink right here. It's 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 a little coffee, but with oat milk, so it's lactose free, and it's like this one is about 1.5 cups. Tastes great, good for energy. You fill the fancy can with water. So really good, really good. I got it from Costco. So does anyone have any good news to report in for this week? Anything exciting you finished? Any good accomplishments going on? Some feel good on my end. Some feel good vibes related to work is basically this month around this time last year we had our first resident hired to a company. So Fine Tune is the company, and they hired their first ever resident, which is a junior engineer. And it's been an entire year of watching pairing programming with him, solving problems with him, and watching him grow for entire years. And it's been after a year, it's really cool to see his growth and his confidence and just yeah, seeing him learn and grow. And it's been awesome. He rebuilt I rebuilt my AMI pipeline around Packer. It was good stuff. Interesting. Malgasm, welcome to the stream. Happy Friday to you too. Hopefully everything finds you well. That's cool. Accomplishment. Yes. That's the stuff I still don't understand from AWS is the AMI stuff. I mean, technically Azure has it too, but all the access management, a lot of stuff I still don't know. So we're going to continue to work on the Notion package here. Where we left off last time is we were auditing all of the docs and making sure that it all looks good. We have examples written in the docs, maybe even doing a little bit of refactoring along the way, using a little bit of structs to provide, type specs and stuff like that for hinting. And we're just going to continue along that journey. This was all Windows based, so it was all quite the leap for me. Well, congratulations. So was it like a new thing, a new endeavor, like something you never had to do before, and you tackled it and nailed it? I guys, I'm chilling, doing some tactile stuff on one of my Elixir apps. Good to see you. Nice, awesome. Glad to hear. I'm encountering more Elixir programmers because they give me information to make me better being an Elixir programmer. Because you can only learn so much in a vacuum. But so I've done Packer before, but writing and modifying Ansible plays into a PowerShell was an adventure. Time-based, one-time password multi-factor auth stuff. I remember you showing a little bit of that. At least I think you mentioned it before. Okay, let's set things up. Oop. We can close this one and go to this one. But it's been another week. Other thing I want to talk about too is the reminder feature for string close capture for the chat. It's been going great. After made a little code adjustment on stream on Wednesday, and so far so good. It seems like it's been a very well received feature. Very well received feature. See, we already have 739 different accounts with it enabled. They opened up string close captioner. They were like, yeah, I like this remind me feature. I would love it for string close captioner to go into my chat and remind me in case I forgot to turn it on. So over 739 people have gone on and turned it on, which is also pretty cool because that means there's minus my test users, so minus 3 people. There are 736 unique users in the past 2 weeks that have turned this on. So like that just gives this gives an idea of how many people actually use the application. Yeah, that's pretty strong adoption. I don't really try to track metrics about how many unique users there actually are per day usually, at least not try to look at that stuff. But it's cool just to think that that's how many people are actually using it. Not that. Notion API. Dark mode on this site is weird. Let's try to turn it on again. All right, so let's see. I think we finished database and pages. Let's see. Let's check the git log. How did you advertise this app? I did almost all the advertising has been basically organic on Twitch. This app's been around for since 2019, the beginning of 2019, and it's just seen natural growth. The best form of advertising that exists for this was on the Twitch extensions page itself. I went to the wrong URL. So when you're a broadcaster, you can go to this extensions page here, and they, suggest a bunch of different extensions based off category and stuff. So initially, people just sought it, but now because my extension is popular enough that the getting started with extensions, when someone's looking to install extensions, if they go here, it's right there. So it is the 7th extension on the list. So Twitch added this here, and this is how I'm getting more visibility on it. So it's all organic, all through Twitch, and word of mouth. So it's pretty cool. No other direct advertising. I never went into anyone's stream to bug them, hey, give this a try and stuff like that. It's all been word of mouth from streamer to streamer or through Twitch itself. Yeah. And that's just the way it's been. There's been people have made YouTube videos about tips about making your stream more accessible that it's shown up on, articles that people have written, plenty of Twitter threads. So it's just been absolutely amazing just how many people have tried it out. And some people like it, some people don't. That's fine. If you want to use it, use it. If you don't. But it's just really cool just to see how much natural growth it's seen over the years. It's just lucky that Twitch has this little app store kind of dealy to make it easy for people to find it. Because you can imagine you trying to make a game or a product, trying to advertise that just into the ether that is the web is extremely hard. All right, so we finished the DB doc stuff. Didn't really like my extension. Yeah. I try to provide the best experience possible just from a consumer standpoint. Do a nice page with videos, like kind of productize it, and then with the dashboard page, try to make this as simple as possible. Obviously I can fix things, make things better, but try to make it as fluid as possible and try to add features that people like. And there's still plenty more features to add in. Feels good. Feels good to put a lot of hard work into something and people take enjoyment out of it. It's the best thing you can hope for. And that gives you motivation to continue to create is people consuming and using and taking just enjoyment. Okay, so database. Let's see. I think we did blocks already. We adjusted that. We haven't worked on all of this yet because we are missing in the specs here. Okay, so one thing I want to look up for Elixir is how to do a shared spec. So if I define a spec, but I want to use it across files, how would I go about doing that? Or so I want it not a spec, but a specific type. So what I'm thinking here is this right here, I want to change this into a response type, basically. So I don't have to repeatedly type this out. So how can I make a type that I can just use everywhere? Types in their syntax, literals, built-ins. Remote types, any module This is also able to define its own types and see. Okay, that's not what I'm looking for. Types. A type defined with at type T. Okay, so that's private. Okay, let's just experiment with this then. Maybe if we put it, I guess if we put it under types here and just reference it that way. Let's do that. Then, oh, I forgot to turn this on. Type name and then the type. And then it would be this. That should do it, right? So if I were to try to do this, wait, this isn't nested correctly. The Notion API types. Like that. Does that make sense? I'm not sure if this is a good approach. Because what does that look like? So I'm generating the docs and going to kick off a little HTTP server to serve up the docs just to see what they look like. The docs are on port 8080. Okay. All right, so let's see here. If we go to API reference, I modified this under the databases module. And then this one is retrieve. So yeah, is that fine? Or is that too... Is that too far from... Too far removed? What happens if we alias too is the other thing I'm wondering about now. Notion. API. I guess if we can just alias types. So we want properties, and then curly brace this, and I want types too. At a high level right now, you're setting... At a high level, you're setting code documentation, correct. So we're pretty much code complete. So at the high, what I'm trying to do is set up documentation, exactly, and adjusting any, yeah, setting up all the documentation. Because we did get kind of lazy while we were implementing the code and didn't configure all the docs and stuff like that. And then, you know, there's probably opportunities to be a little bit more providing the proper specs and stuff like that for any typings. So I'm regenerating the docs using mixed docs, and then using MPX to use HTTP serve to serve up the generated docs, the HTML docs, just to spin up a quick web server. Lacoste, how's it going? How are you this fine afternoon? Ooh, there we go. Wait, no, that's not it. This is it. It still does that, which is fine. And then we go over here, and then it's that. Okay. I got excited for a second. I thought it abbreviated that, but it didn't. Got a little too excited. That just becomes types. It's building this felt kit app. Nice. I remember you mentioning that before. How has been your experience so far this week with that? Yeah, so we're just going to stick with this because we've been using that response repetitively over and over again. So we are using this whole new thing right here. Whoops. So it's not any. Much less overhead than Vue. Oh, that's interesting. Because I genuinely really enjoyed working in Vue. So if there's less overhead than Vue, well, also you're using Svelte Kit, right? Whereas, is there like an equivalent Vue kit sort of dealy? Can't compare Vue. Okay, because I just use Vue itself, not any sort of kit or whatever. Okay, so we updated this, so we're using our types, the response. let's go ahead and revisit. And so we've gotten a nice little win from that. I'm gonna go ahead and run our tests just to make sure everything is still running. Nothing should have changed because we didn't change any code. We're just kind of messing with the type specs and stuff. Commits are so much simpler. Ooh, interesting. Cool. Very cool. So we're going to do the same thing here where we do alias for the thin Notion API types. And just like that. We're going to replace all type specs that are this with this. Score. Have we found any drawbacks so far? We'll see. Yeah, I guess it would. I guess as your application becomes increasingly more complex is when usually when things start to tease out about the drawbacks. Alrighty. Run tests again. Make sure there isn't anything weird going on. Good. Now we jump. I guess let's commit these changes. So move, create, response, user type, add, refactor to use that. All right, so let's cover the next iteration of stuff. So page, we'll look at pages next. Pages got a lot of documentation again that we've decided we're not going to use, or the lock the output to what to expect. Made a determination last time that it's just not useful to actually see what everything outputs. It's better just to show usage here. Import in types, and we'll do the exact same thing we did before, where we do types, response, response. So retrieve pave is just a string coming in, and so that type spec looks good. If not, I'd imagine that the lint would have complained to us anyway. Alrighty. Get rid of all that. Just like that. Ooh. Anonymous Chair again coming in with the one singular bit. Thank you very much, Anonymous Chair, again. I see a theme here. Thank you very much. Let's get rid of that. Move that up. Move that up. Move that up. Alrighty here. So what do we have going on here? So we have two different. Okay, that's because you can create a page. There's two different ways you can create a page. Create a page. You can create a page as a singular page, or you can create or a database. A database itself, it can be a page. So I had created two different functions to handle that, and I hadn't written any specs for this. So I'll let GitHub Copilot kind of autocorrect some stuff for me here. And the three arguments are an atom, a string, or the third option is a map. A map, or it can just be nil. Elixir page creates typing database or page. Yeah, so this is angry because it can be either we accept we only accept two things. It's either database or we accept page. Data, base or page. Makes me wonder, could we just do this as an atom? Or page like that. Oh, it looks like it's okay with that. Let's see here. So when creating let's look up the docs for when creating a database or creating a page, because there's like some special conditions when you're trying to create a database specific. Create a page like that. If the parent is a database, property values of a page and property is a page only valid. Let's go ahead and include some of these footnotes here about the API. And I believe if you're creating a database too, you must have a title. That's like the other kind of caveat to when creating a database. must specify no, not that. It's too bad pages isn't like a section in itself that I can link to. Just the pages object. All right. On to the next one. Ba, 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 ba. Ba, ba. So update page is not a map. We're using types. There we go. Make a code. Get up code palette. It's properties. And then a boolean. So technically, they can pass in nils here. I think that should hold true. Yeah, because you can just create something just by passing in the update page. Properties is much too complex to try to do a spec or something like that for it still. You're sticking with Elixir for the backend. This is just the library, so yes. Actually, I have plans to try to use this library to build something else. So after we're completed with this library, I want to try to build some API, a project that does certain things with using the Notion, using Notion to enhance your experience with Notion. Since I am a heavy Notion user. But can you host it as a serverless function? Yes, you can. It is possible to host Elixir as a serverless function. The caveat, well, once we get to the project, we'll see if it's feasible to host it as to host the project as a serverless function. Because if I host it, because there's going to be some constraints involved that we'll have to consider for the project. If it's a standard service, then a serverless function will do the trick. Yeah. Is it? Sorry, I just saw something. Yeah, but we can have conversations about that when we get to it, because it'll be a good conversation about what the pros and cons of serverless. So it'll be a good conversation if people aren't familiar with doing serverless implementations. Retrieve page property item is the last thing we have here. Let's go ahead and pull up the documentation on this one. And let me finish writing out these specs here. So page ID should be a string type, no problem. The property ID should, I believe, is just a string type also. And then this is always the same thing, which is types, response. Yeah, so they're both our string here. Yep. It looks like there's some additional query parameters that can be included as part of this that I did not include when I first implemented this. So it looks like we didn't do the whole thing. We didn't implement the whole thing. This whole thing right here. So we will have to add a map for query parameters. It looks like, and like this is angry because we're not adding in. This is probably angry because this interface doesn't match the actual implementation. Page size and start cursor. So let's go ahead and add in a new type for pagination, I think. Because I think these two properties of page size and start cursor are just good generic pagination types. So I'm just going to go ahead and create pagination params. Hey Mar, how's it going? Ah. Is that all we get in chat is the ah? B. Okay, that's good enough. Here, let's go ahead and copy all of. Oops. Let's just copy this so I don't have to like retype in everything. Did you? Ah, yeah. Weebs. You can't get rid of us. Yeah, weebs where? I just see normal people here. So start cursor and page size. But how's it going? How's your week been? You got some good wins in this week that you might want to share? Let's see. Just those two. Start cursor and page size. So what we can do here now is just use types and pagination. Pagination params. Query or params. Let's just call this params. We'll just pass through the params here like this. Boom. Stressful. We moved floors at work, like the new place though. Finally got to set up my desk and IET setup station the way I like it. Nice. Setting up and troubleshooting stuff gets infinitely easier when your workplace is comfortable. Indeed, indeed. Yeah, it's stressful trying to move move floors, move offices, move whatever. Yeah. I remember having to do that. I think I've only had to technically do that once ever. Moving entire offices. And like the first day or two is kind of chaotic because like nothing's set up fully. But it's usually an opportunity to get stuff for your workstation that you need or that you would desire since you're starting kind of fresh. So parameters should be optional. We need to test this though. So this is angry because it's like, oh, the params. Like, oh, we need the params, not like empty. Okay, well, let's just do this. We will need to test this right now. So give me a second here while I'm gonna. I will need to retest this retrieve page property type item. But I can't test this while showing you, just in case something accidentally leaks. Leak, yeah, exactly. Because if it errors out, it might expose the token while we try to rerun the actual tests and not not the mock API, not the pre-recorded API calls. All right, it looks like it passed. It looks like it passed. If we jump over to the test, it should be one of the last ones. Yeah, so it verifies that. So that should be good. We have our updated spec. We have like some type specs for pagination parameters, all that type of good stuff. Let's go ahead and regenerate the docs real quick just to see what everything looks like. Run npx to boot up a little server real quick. And reload the docs. Let's see. So we're dealing with pages now, pages module. And here's everything. This still needs a example in it. I shall look for a tiny bit more and then vanish to the land of the sleeping. Fare thee well. I wish you the best of luck in your expedition to the land of the sleeping. All right, yeah. So we just need an example usage here. Is the last step. Oh, it looks like it grabbed the example from the test that's already open and filled that in for me. So that's phenomenal. So I grabbed this code over here and used it for the example over here because it's noticing a pattern going on. So GitHub Copilot wins this round. Very nice, very nice. So now we'll have an example example code here for this section. I should add. I wonder if I can somehow improve the. I guess I had to add documentation headers to the actual types that I added in, so people can see. The actual info. What happens if I do that? If I do not do the T and just do that? What does that do? These are the important questions that I have as we experiment with more and more things. Oh, it doesn't link. It's just like this emptiness. Yeah, I think I need to add module. I need to add the module docs to the structs to actually. I think that's going to help a lot. It's like if someone hovers over it, it will, instead of just saying response, it'll actually say I'll have like a blurb of information of what properties actually exist, so that they don't have to click into here and then look at the spec itself. At least from a documentation perspective, I think that'll help a lot. We'll save that for last, though. Great. Cool. Let's go ahead and commit this. Update page. Page module docs. And add missing stuffs. Next. The parser is just a internal one. We don't do anything with that. Properties. Won't do anything with this one either. Users. We touch on next. Let's alias in then Notion API types. Retrieve user. Retrieves a user. This syntax for the examples is not a good one. I keep on missing the X. And this needs to be types response. Paso Kurtos 2. Hey, cool, right back at you. All right, so we do that. That looks okay. On to the next one. This, again, is not following the doc syntax, the proper documentation syntax to embed examples in. So we have to move this 2 over. Nice see you, Deb. Nice see you. How are you this fine Friday afternoon? Hopefully the week has treated you well. What am I working on? I am currently working on an Elixir. I'm working on an Elixir package for the Notion API. So the Elixir is a programming language, and been doing small projects on it to continue growing my knowledge and comfort with it. And this is the latest one that I've started working on. Is basically a small package to help communicate with the Notion API. And right now we're going through and updating and tweaking the docs, so we have these nice we have some nice good looking docs for when we do our next release. So list all users. Let's look at the official documentation for list all users, because I feel like this is a little lacking here. Types, response. So list all users takes in query params for cursor and page size. Luckily, and this is for pagination. So luckily for one of the previous modules, we had created a pagination params, and that's what this map is. So that's what we're going to go ahead and do. Types, pagination params, because that's what that is. So it can be pagination params or nothing at all, or just nil. What happened to the fun stream overlay with little avatars? I actually want to get back to that. I haven't. It's still there. I haven't worked on it at all, so I want to revisit it and maybe do a small little updates for it. But yeah, I want to get back to using it. 100%. I want to show it some love. You miss bullying people? We'll bring it back. I definitely want to bring it back. I'm thinking about working on it after this month. So the next stream, we're going to focus just a little bit on the other extensions, and then I want to revisit that and play and do that, work on that a little bit too. For sure. Maybe even go and possibly do some research on Phaser, or if there's anything else besides Phaser that we can use. Because I'm pretty sure Phaser's we wrote it 2 years ago, I think. So who knows? Phaser could just be done some major updates and we're just completely out of date with it. There could be new awesome things that we could use. The one thing we've left commented out was retrieving a user bot, because this ended up not returning the data that we didn't expect. I guess let's try testing that out again and see what this returns. It's worth a try to see if actually will return back anything. Just implement pagination on my little app now. I'll also need to append parameters which overwrite the pagination parameters. I just want a nice app without much work. Oh boy. You start to go progressively more and more down the rabbit hole. All right, so I'm going to hide my screen real quick while I test this out, just in case it leaks any secrets or anything like that. So give me a second. If it works, I'll show it. If it doesn't work, I'll never know. So it just returns back a 500 error. I won't tell anyone, show you secrets. Oh, okay. Why not? The other 5 years won't either. All right, so it errored out. Let me recreate the error real quick, and then I can show you. Notion API users retrieve bot. So here's the error. We're getting a 500 error from the server. Unexpected error. So their application's throwing a 500 error. Let's take a look at this endpoint again. So Notion API's users/me is the endpoint. We pass in the Notion version. And all this is supposed to do is, if you pass in the Notion API key and stuff like that, it's supposed to return back the bot user associated with it. So it's supposed to return back the Notion API package that the name of the app, I think. But is this returning back a 500 error? We can probably just keep it in here for now, so at least it's there, but we're not going to test it because it doesn't seem to be working properly. So we'll avoid testing it. We'll just keep it enabled just so we have all of the endpoints, because in the future it could be fixed. So we'll just let it be. We just won't write a test for it. We will have to do, though, however, we will write some documentation for it. And then it should return back an okay with whatever. Update user module docs and add back removed endpoint. removed code. So we can just fit it in the comment. All right. So the last thing I mentioned I was going to do was I was going to add in documentation for the type. So let's see how this works. So we're just going to say blah, blah here, blah, 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 for the pagination params. Very detailed documentation, blah, blah, blah. What my motivation here is just to see what the output is. So where is the pagination params? Here we go. So T doesn't say anything still. What does it say? How do we add additional information? Let's go to the top. So nothing about that. Let's look up structs. All right, let me look this up. So Elixir document T type. All right, so writing documentation. Let's look at this. Elixir documentation is written using Markdown. There are plenty of guides. Online, yeah. Documentation Elixir usually is attached to the module attributes. Let's see. So that's the module doc and then add doc for the specific thing. Documenting function arguments are inferred by the compiler. For example, that compiler will infer the arguments as a map. Sometimes the inference will be suboptimal, especially if the function contains multiple clauses with the argument matching different values each time. You can specify the proper names for the documentation by declaring only the function head. Okay. Deprecated. Okay. Modules by their full name. Backticks to quote code. Reference that, callback for pretending that. Reference at types, type by pretending that as that. doc tests. Okay, well, I just read that whole thing. I know we looked at this earlier. I just want to see. Team already which representation. As well as this time representation struct. Oh, interesting. Let's define our type. This. We define the type T first last already, which is a representation of struct. AC types could take parameters, but we define T as well, and this time struct. What's the difference? The first one represents the struct in which the two keys could be any type. The second one represents the struct which the keys are integers. Documentations of types. There we go. Type doc. The last element we need to talk about is how to document our types. As we know from the documentation lessons, we have @doc and module doc annotation to create a documentation for functions and modules. For documenting our types, we use the type doc. Okay, so that's what I need to do. I need to use a type doc. So when we created that standalone response dealy here, it should have been a type doc like this. Like that. So then we don't have to go that extra step of saying response dot response. From the notion from the can either be a success or an error. Hi, this is type dog. Hello, type dog. How are you, type dog? Like that. Yes. Let's just do a straight find and replace across the whole application. Oof. Is type dog confused? Now I'm curious to see how that results. Oh, wait. Create page doesn't have a spec associated with it? Did we really overlook that? It's right there. Is it because there's two different versions of it? That's so weird. But this has a... Okay, so if we look at this... That's interesting how we did a type doc for this. I thought it would show up something, but it doesn't in the actual documentation. It just has that for the module. That's weird. Why is it... Ooh, here we go. Oh, these are warnings. We'll have to address the warnings. Looks like the warnings are not for us, though. Go back off. Let's refresh. Yeah, so this actually doesn't have... I was hoping that this would actually say the documentation on here, but it doesn't. What are the best practices for this? Type doc. And there's no explicit example for that. Type doc. I guess that's just gonna have to suffice. But we will add documentation for the other params though. How big is my screen? This screen is actually a 2K monitor. The 2.7K, whatever it is. I didn't go with the 4K one because at the time, the 4K monitors with the 120 with the 144 refresh rate, either they were few and far between, or they were like insanely expensive. So this is a 2K 144 hertz monitor for the gaming. Mainly for the gaming. So what does it look like for our other specs here? So if I do type docs now for this, will it show up? What you gaming? I used to play Overwatch. I played Overwatch, Apex, random kind of like other random games like roguelike games randomly. And but the main game I play now is Escape from Tarkov with friends. All right, let's see what this results in. Oh, this is database query params. Let's go to database and then database query params. Hey, what the heck happened over here? Where's my database query params? What's going on here? Blah, blah, blah. Have you tried Loop Hero? Yes, I'm currently playing Loop Hero right now, actually. When I feel like just like relaxing and playing a game. I haven't. I have beat two of the first two kind of like maps / bosses, and I'm currently leveling up the village and gathering resources, or currently leveling up and trying to get stronger so I can beat the next map / boss. You sunk 60+ hours into Loop Hero. Yeah, it's crazy how addictive that game is. The other addictive game that I really enjoyed is Hades. I've sunk over 100 hours into Hades. I think I've unlocked most of the character interactions. I think there's still some dialogue that I haven't unlocked yet. And and then I have one more statue to unfurl. for like beating the game on like heat 20 or something like that. I forget what it is. Oh yeah, there we go. Blah blah blah. Yeah, perfect. That's what I want to see. I want to see the blah 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 part. That is exactly what I want to see. So when I hover over here and it says blah blah blah, because I don't care so much for the documentation for the module itself. I care more for the type doc. The final boss is surprisingly easy. Okay, it's taken me a while to actually for Loop Hero to get to the to beat the map in order to actually encounter the boss yet. I like what was your hero of choice? Your class of choice. What's your class of choice for Loop Hero? I like doing the Necromancer thus far. If I hope you feel that's all. Of course. You think you beat the Boss of the Warrior? Maybe I should try maybe I should try switching over. I just like doing the Necromancer. But I always lean to Necromancers for most for games I like to play if that class is available. That's just my MO. Okay, docs. What's going on here? All three classes are fun. That is true. Why is it still using blah 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 when blah 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 isn't a thing anymore? That's so weird. So we're just gonna do the same thing we did here. Across. The space is necessary. All right. Nope, hold on. Regenerate. Ooh, here we go. This is a integer. It doesn't like this. So integer is not a type. It's just straight up integer. Like that. Not that. Support all user actions is done. It's like it cached some of this stuff because I don't think I have module docs for any of these now. The response one is still kind of weird because it's still not saying anything about that one. Maybe it's because this is nested like that and it shouldn't be that way. Is my only guess. That indentation all the way in is really throwing it for a loop. Loop here is a number game, can't beat it no matter how good you are if your stats are too low. Yeah. I need to really build up my village and upgrade the various aspects of it so you can increase the probabilities of drops and also the equipment that you put on, like the perk items. To increase your strength against the various monsters. Because I actually beat the second boss really easily with the Necromancer, like ridiculously easily. I had a really good roll that round. Is this like caching or something like that? Empty cache, hard reload. There we go. Cool. Alrighty. So that's pretty good. Let's just generate the docs again so we can look at the warnings here just to see if there's anything that pops out. These live nation. So it doesn't like this because this isn't good. This is also not a good example. Because this actually needs to be indented all the way in. There we go. Always upgrade to the highest level regardless of stats. Yeah, for the necromancer, I feel like sometimes you have to like weigh the values of like if you house like increased health versus increased like level of your skeletons, max level, the max skeleton quality. There's like a lot of variables involved for the for that. But here we go. We have the example there. Okay. So I think we've gone as far as we technically can with the implementation stuff. The only other thing I think could do next is run some of the other utils that we can do to analyze our code for consistency and stuff like that. So Credo, I believe, is one of them. I forget how to run Credo. Waiting for a Loop Hero stream. In the future, I might. I've thought about doing a gaming stream, but basically no mic, just me playing and just interacting with chat. But like no cam, no mic, because I just don't want to deal with that. So I do have Credo installed. Credo steps get. So the interesting thing is Credo cannot be found. Back. That's odd. Why can't I run Credo? It's right there. This is on version 1.5. Credo's now on version like 1.6, I guess. 6.1. That shouldn't be a problem though. Steps get and then mix Credo. What? That's so weird. And response. Spec. Let's go and push up that code change. Other code changes. Mix steps get. Yeah, I don't. It's interesting how mix depths get. I also failed. Okay, well, I don't know why. Credo's not working. But let's try. What about we try releasing this? Mm-hmm. How do y'all feel like ending the stream with releasing this on version 0.1.0? New release on the end of stream on Friday? Yes. Luckily, this is a library. And not production level, not running code on a server. Library guidelines, publishing. Adding the metadata, dependency, documentation, mix, hex, publish. Is the step we need. We also need to update the README because this is done. You vote 1-0. Okay, let's take a very small, minute poll of to figure out what people think. Should we call it version 1.0 or should we call it version 0.1.0? Because we've already released a version 0.0.1, which is why. So should this next release be a full 1.0 release or should this release be a patch release? 6.9. Now we're getting ahead of ourselves. We're jumping the gun a little bit too much, even though that's a nice number. We're getting too far ahead. We still need 67 more releases if we wanted to go all the way up to 69. Holiday segmentation by generating following command. Let's go ahead and put the step here. You can run the generated documentation in or you can spin up server to host documentation if you have not installed by using the following command. npx you can start a poll. No, we're just going to do a chat poll because there's only like 2 people here or 2 people that are at least paying enough attention. Everyone else is lurking. npx doc. So this is going to just be a regular old type it in the chat type of poll. So if everything looks good, we can release by calling mix hex publish. Oh yeah, ensure version in the mix EXS has been properly incremented. To have an opinion. So the question is, should we go 0.10 or 1.0? I guess there's nothing wrong with going with 1.0. We can go with that. Update README and set version to 1.0. Sync changes. And just like the README says, mix hex publish. Oh, thank you very much for that follow. Bliojo? That's a hard name. Mix hex publish. I'm going to go ahead and click this button. And then, but I'm going to hide my screen real quick. Actually, let's just go to this screen. I'm afraid like if it errors out, it's going to like display any sensitive information. So let me check this first screen before anything else. Okay, so this is pretty in tame screen. Missed the vote, rip. So here we go. So we're releasing 1.0. Our two dependencies are just HTTP poison and JSON. Those are the two. Purposely keeping it lean. I'm trying to avoid introducing any other libraries for any other part of the development process. And then all the files that are going to be included. And then license. And then, yeah, all the information. So do we want to proceed with the publish? Yes, we do. And click yes. Type in my local password. Okay. And it is alive. There it is. It says package published. So if we visit this URL, here we go. Version 1.0. Although we are saying, we did say that this is still heavily under development, which is not true anymore. The password is Gooseman. Sure it is. So we need to update the docs because we said in the docs that we just published saying that this is under heavy development. That is false now. We are not under heavy development anymore. We are not under heavy development anymore. So we need to, if this was NPM, we would have to release a new version. So like, you know, when you go to NPM, you look at the documentation for a package. That page that you see, like this, is tied to the README, and basically you would have to release a new version in order to update this documentation here. Luckily, with Hex, you don't have to. So I'm just gonna update this. So remove warning at the top of the README. sync that change. And I should be able to just republish the documentation and just the documentation. Get committed, man. And force push. I just got to remember how to. There we go. So maybe if you want to, so you can just publish the package alone. If you only want to publish the package itself, you can run hex mix hex publish package. Similarly, if you want to republish a documentation of an existing package version, you can run mix hex publish docs. And then let me go ahead and hide my screen as I type in various bobbity boos, dibbity bops. Come back. And now the documentation is republished, removing that top part. So it's out there. It's out in the world. It's out in the wild. So if we go, so that's hex docs. If we go to hex PM, oh yeah, we should do a little celebratory air horn. Or better yet, okay, look, recently updated. Our little package is alive. It's launched. Oh, that's interesting. It actually documents when the package is published and when the docs are republished. So it has actually itemized activity for both. On shipping actions. If there are webhooks, that could be something to do. If they're like webhooks or WebSockets to trigger that, that'd be funny. I could probably do that with GitHub Actions. Like if I automate the release flow with GitHub Actions, I can probably add in as part of the release flow in GitHub Actions to send a webhook to trigger like lights blinking or something like that. But yeah, that brings us to the end of the stream, folks. Mission accomplished. Very much mission accomplished. So probably what I would want to do next with this is actually use the package to do some stuff. As I was alluding to early in the stream, I have some ideas of creating like some tooling to enhance the Notion experience experience because both my wife and I are Notion users, and there's a couple things I wish Notion did. So it'd be cool to try to create a little app that would add that functionality to Notion or automate that functionality for Notion. So yeah, yeah, that's the next thing that we can talk about next time. Thanks so much for everyone for hanging out. I hope you all have a great rest of your week or weekday. It's Friday, and you have a wonderful weekend. And if you have a 3-day weekend, it's awesome. redo over here at Zeal. So I'll be enjoying my 3-day weekend. Probably doing the same thing I always do, is just lazy around. Or do some gaming or something like that. We'll figure it out. Definitely get some sun. Yeah, everyone. Thanks so much. Greatly appreciate you. And I'll see you on the next stream, which will ideally be on Sunday, where we're going to start working on one of our other side projects. So I'll catch you later. Stay happy, stay healthy, and remember to go eat something yummy. All right, folks. Catch you later. Bye.